Man, I sure wish someone would wake. My name is Jack, and I'm a writer. You know what they always say, if you can't Alan, then you shouldn't wake too. Today I'm going to 100% Alan Wake. This run sorta required 6 playthroughs because I'm bad at the game. The first one will be where I unlock most of the achievements, so that's where we'll start today. We open on someone flying a drone through the mountains of Washington State. You know, I've never been to Washington, and seeing this footage makes me not want to go. Nature? Gross. I'll take Walmarts and unwalkable cities any day. Once we're introduced to the main character's title card of the game, we watch as Alan shows just how bad of a driver he is. He hits a homeless person who seems to be a little too stupid for his own good. If this were in California, then Alan would be a hero. The lights shut off somehow, and it turns out the homeless man was pranking us the whole time. Welcome to episode 1. I'm never going to introduce them as episodes like that ever again. Once I gain control of Adam Jake, I can begin the journey. Now, I won't be talking about every time I get a collectible, but I will point them out as they become relevant and to fill the space. The first collectible of the game is right ahead of us, on a broken down bridge. It's a coffee thermos, and there are about 100 of them in the game. Typically, I'd think that's crazy, but it didn't feel like 100 while collecting them, so I'm not upset. Once we hit the bridge, the hitchhiking homeless man ambushes us with an axe. That forces us to run away as fast as our rider legs can take us. I'm a writer. Up ahead, we get the chance to do some dodging. Now, this introduces cinematic dodges, which will be important for 2 achievements. We can go ahead and do a cinematic dodge right now to unlock our first achievement of the run, float like a butterfly. Once we do a couple of dodges, we continue on to screw a man's life over. Locked in a cabin, listening to the sounds of horrible mutilation, we experience a euphoric sense of survivor's guilt. Alright, with that over, let's speak with a bright light. This is God. Not really, but no spoilers. This light eventually gives us a flashlight, which we can use to weaken the enemies covered in the darkness, and then a gun, which we can use to shoot said enemies. Once we finish speaking to him, we pop our second achievement of the run, follow the light. We also shoot a canned pyramid to progress our collectible achievements. We finally reached the lighthouse after a chase with a tornado of Gurmic evil darkness, and it's revealed that all of this was a dream. Instead of being Alan Wake, we are instead Alan Wake Awakened. Alan and his wife Alice had decided to do a little vacation. Vacationing to anywhere in Washington is a bad idea, but Bright Falls was their best choice, I guess. Once we finally get off of the ferry, we can make our way to the diner to get the key. We smack a jukebox for an elderly man, which will be important for later on in the story, and meet Rose. Rose is a fanatic for words on a piece of paper. When we go to knock on the restroom door for the key, we instead are greeted by an elderly woman veiled in black. She gives us the key and we leave. Or was it the wrong key all along? At the cabin, I turn 360 degrees and walk away. Heading up the trail, I grab a thermos near where we park. As we head towards the cabin, we have to turn the lights on because Alice is afraid of the dark. That nets us another achievement, Let There Be Light. With a reminiscent cutscene, we must return to Alice, who has a surprise for us. I make sure to grab the first radio on the back deck, however, then I head upstairs after a coffee break. Turns out the reason we're here is actually because Alice wanted us to write again. We've been on a hiatus for months, and we're a little pissed about it. Then the lights go out for a moment, but Alan doesn't notice. After storming out, the lights go out completely and we have to save Alice. However, it turns out that we can't do that because she's dragged off the back porch and into the lake. We dive in and get hit in the head with a concussion. Get hit in the head and get a concussion. No, I like the first one better. We wake up in a car crash, which sucks. I don't have insurance, so this will be like $6,000 to repair. Oh. Well, no, never mind, I don't have to worry about that anymore. A little further ahead, we are met with the same glowing bright light. This time, though, it fades into sheets of paper. These are manuscripts, another collectible we have to find throughout the game. There are 106 of these total, 15 of which are only available in nightmare mode. Eventually, I come to a lumber yard where I see the first official boss of the game. Interacting with this fellow, the possessed Carl Stuckey, gives me a cutscene. With a couple more pickups, I can finally get a damn flashlight and a revolver. The Shining reference. The bungalow we're standing in gets super messed up, like thrown off the cliff messed up, so I have to parkour out of it and fight a few enemies. This is also where I get my first supply chest of the run. There are 30 in total and we've got number 1. In this late epic chest, I get a flare gun, and after a few more collections, a conquered river and more shootouts with cruel machinations of my nightmarish revelations, we reach another new collectible. This one is a TV. There are only 14 of them to collect and most of them are either handed to you or hard to miss. Unfortunately, next up is a boss fight. I have to fight Taken Larry Crunky. Carl Stuckey. The fight is very simple. Just shine my flashlight on him until he goes sparkle sparkle and shoot him to death. Beating him nets me the next achievement, Nordic Walking. During the fight, he also spawns evil bad guys we have to fight, giving me the chance to rack up cinematic dodges. There's also a coffee thermos here, so yippee! I've successfully reached the gas station where I can pick up another manuscript, a coffee thermos, a TV, and the first sign of the game. There are 25 signs, so 25 things I have to press E on to read through. Now I can call the police, activating a cutscene where the sheriff comes to speak to me. Spouting nonsense like the schizo I am, she calls me crazy once I show her there really is no island in the lake. It was all a personal nightmare. This ends episode 1, netting us the achievement Bright Falls Finest. Our first experience in episode 2 is a flashback. Alan is wearing the exact same clothes as he is on vacation, so he really doesn't have that expansive of a closet, it seems. Makes sense since he's a guy, and this dream is a coffee thermos to pick up, as well as a manuscript page and a radio. After the lights go out and I pick up the flashlight, we have a romantic night in candlelight. Alan proves how crazy he is by saying his mom gave him a broken light switch, calling it the clicker. This is important to know that he's insane. Back in the present, Alan Wake is being treated by an older doctor. I expect him to bring out a sledgehammer to check my reflexes, but all he has is a flashlight and a fishing pole. We meet with the sheriff, pick up our phone, tell the sheriff to eat our ass for info, then get a call from an anonymous terrorist. A few collectibles exist in the police station, however. This includes wanted posters as a sign, a coffee thermos, a radio, and a manuscript. After doing some repo, I can kick some wooden panels down, pick up Alice's driver's license, and then get a call from the greatest best friend of all time, Barry. On my way back in, I get TV number 3. When a punch-out contest with a therapist goes wrong, Barry saves us and takes us away. Our goal is to, figure something out or something like that. We head to the ranger station as a result with the intention of getting a cabin. A sign and a thermos are in the building, and once I speak to Rusty and get the key, I'm sent to a cabin with a cutscene. Barry offers to help with our schizophrenic creativity, but we say no to that shit. We're a lone wolf with a grudge against evil. Our goal is now to get to Rusty for information, and yet there seems to be an issue. Rusty is in deep trouble. Sorry Rusty, I gotta collect a few things first. Is that okay? With my kleptomaniacal tendencies out of the way, I can investigate the Rustmeister. Turns out something attacked him and he's bleeding everywhere. I steal his revolver so he can't defend himself, taking the keys to turn on the power. But when I get there, it seems the power's been sabotaged. I come back to find Rusty turned into an evil, spiteful, and cruel reflection of himself. Boss fight time. Once this boss fight is over, I get another achievement, under a thin layer of skin. I also get depression because the dog is... whoops. I'm sorry, officer. The dog attacked me first. Well, my real goal this whole time has been to find Alice, my wife. She's in a mine, apparently, and the resort is pretty close to the mine itself. That's a lie. I still have a lot of walking to do. While collecting more extensively infinite collectibles, I get another achievement. This one is Finders Keepers for collecting 5 supply chests. While I travel, I make sure to get as many kills with specific weapons as I can. Each weapon, from the revolver to the flashbang, excluding the flare itself, has an achievement tied to the amount of kills I get while using them. I am met with my first new evil McBad guy, though. This monstrosity is known as the Hulk, and no, Disney, this isn't a copyright infringement. I also pick up the shotgun in a lonesome shack with a bright light glaring at me. Unfortunately, in my inexperience fighting mass groups of enemies, I get myself killed. That was just a test run. The next will go well, I promise. Alright, so I lied. Let's carry on before I lie some more. Next stop, a beautiful nightmare. Yep, I have to ride a thingamajig that goes across a very open valley. Birds attack me too, but I end up crashing. The Takens surround me, but a certain invisible man appears to save my life. He gives me some flares. Flares are basically beacons of safety. Light one and every Taken in a 10-foot radius backs away from you in fear. Turns out this guy is the one who kidnapped my wife, but we're forced to be his light in the darkness. No pistol for us, all we get is the flashlight and the flares. We traverse the darkness with one another for a bit before we get to a holdout section. The flares do wonders to scare all the Taken away from the door, that way we can run away. We get another holdout section before everything falls apart and we hit the cliff below us. During the cinematic holdout section, I do get another achievement, missed by a mile, for performing 20 cinematic dodges. Apparently this guy really likes our fanfiction. He wants the entire manuscript for our Super Smash Bros. Fanfiction, and unfortunately we can't help him. He should have just looked in the extras section of the main menu, maybe he'd be satisfied then. Before moving on, I grab another manuscript page, getting me the Paging Mr. Wake achievement for picking up 25 manuscript pages. After picking up a supply crate, we can chase down the kidnapper again. Thankfully, we have our gun this time. After tearing down the terroristic influence of the Can Pyramids, I can pick up another thermos canister for the Damn Good Cup of Coffee achievement for picking up 25 thermos canisters. Killing more Taken with the weapons I've been handed, including a hunting rifle, in order to tally up those kill achievements leads me to a granary. Dropping a weight puts me on an elevator, which leads me to a brand spanking new boss type enemy. Boss type enemies can only have their darkness decreased by honing the flashlight beam on them. This particular one has a chainsaw, but he's nothing in the wake of the power of the light bulb. Heading across a small bridge to a trailer park nets me another thermos, a TV, and a jump scare in a bathroom stall. It also introduces me to the first driving section. Shortly before getting to the trailer park, Barry calls me concerning some Stanley Kubrick reference, so I have to get back to the damn cabin. Once I arrive, I have to fight a massive swarm of birds. These birds don't need to be shot unless by a flare gun, and you can use a flashlight and a flare to fight them as well. If you don't attack them, they'll just swarm you over and over again until your health dwindles. After saving Barry's life, the morning breaks and Alan tries to sit down to finish the manuscript for his wife's kidnapper. Barry gets a call from Rose, however, who turns out to have been afflicted by the mysterious evil woman. She invites him and Alan over for the manuscripts and thus ends episode 2, giving us the Park Ranger achievement. Now we can take it slow for a bit, walking through the trailer park. A few collectibles and a God-fearing limp later, we reach Rose's house. Guess what? It was a trap. Who would have thought? After some drugged coffee, we wake up and are automatically given a TV. We were also out for 24 hours, which makes saving our wife even harder. Unfortunately, however, we're met with the FBI coming on our ass. Alan Wake, capable of dodging bullets with sheer luck, runs away from Agent Nightingale. For a short stint of time, we're avoiding the cops like we're Jason Brody avoiding insane cultists on an island. On our way to freedom, we listen to the death of many cops, the destruction of a helicopter, and the possession of stupid objects. Oh yeah, objects can be possessed now, and we have to deal with them with a flashlight, or, in some extreme cases, a spotlight. Once I finally pick up a flashlight, I can feel safe again. This part of the game also introduces the flashbang, which is just good, honest fun. After I reach a safe haven, which is just a beacon of light, I pick up more flashbangs and listen to a little bit of radio. In the next area, 4 Taken spawn to ambush you. Throwing down a flashbang, I get the Sound and Fury achievement for destroying 4 Taken with a flashbang all at once, though I do end up dying. Nothing a few flashbangs can't fix on the next try. After collecting another supply cache, I'm ambushed by Taken again. This time I'm beaten up until I reach critical health and my screen turns gray. Just as I'm about to be hit, I pop a flare in order to get the back I say achievement for saving myself in a critical state. Thankfully, I can reach the radio station without any more issues, netting me another thermos as a reward. Pat Main tries to convince me to do an interview, but the FBI catches up to me. Agent Nightingale shoots at me in Maine, and Alan does some sick-ass parkour to escape. After a bird ambush on a mountain, I come to a man ambush at a broken-down cavern. I do end up dying the first time and have to walk up the mountain to collect things again, but my second chance at the ambush is no problem. Just before the ambush, I got the achievement Carney for shooting 5 canned pyramids. You only need 5 for the entire game, but I still try to get 12 of them thanks to my completionist mindset. A very accusatory phone call from who sounds like Alice indicates that we are going very crazy. Or maybe this was real. Regardless, what is very real is the army of possessed objects that fight me over my handling of this whole living situation. Imagine being a massive piece of metal and dying to a beam of light. I pick up a new flashlight which gives me more battery charge, as well as a couple of manuscripts, a coffee thermos, and a TV. I make sure to pop a few more shadowy heads with my shotgun before engaging in a fight with a bulldozer. Yeah, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. Defeating the possessed bulldozer nets me the heavy metal achievement. With a refill of ammo and batteries, I carry on. I get rewarded with a cutscene. As it turns out, I only have a few hours to get to the coal mine to save my wife. With the bootleg metal, I slam on the gas. Well, until I reach the next collectible zone. My foot becomes a feather in that case. After extensive amounts of driving, a couple of radios, and a manuscript page, I reach the coal mine museum where I get a phone call. My wife's kidnapper explains how I'm going to die unless I copy this comment to 10 other comment sections. The idiot doesn't understand that I've seen every immunity image known to man. I'm gigavaxed against the email scam chain. In this next arena section, I have to fight not only Taken, but also possessed items. While trying to fight the Taken, I accidentally line 2 of them up and take them out in 1 shotgun blast. This nets me the achievement 2 for the price of 1 for killing 2 Taken in 1 shotgun blast. After the fight, I make my way across the train yard to turn off the power to access the next station, which was blocked off by the spiteful hatred of a shadowy tornado. While fighting my way back after turning off the power, I also get the They're Here achievement, which requires me to exercise 20 possessed objects with the strongest laser in the universe. After a few more combat arena areas, I grab another coffee thermos, then I'm able to escape the museum to move on with my life finally. Out of the museum and into the coal mine, however, I fight more and more Taken in the foggy woods. Shortly after escaping the museum and diving into the woods, I get the 6-gun scribe achievement for killing 100 Taken with the revolver. That's 1 weapon-based achievement out of the way, a handful more to go. The next section is full of running, fighting, struggling, and collecting. It's all the same as you've seen before, so the only real interesting part is what happens when I finally make it out of the forested area. Through a small valley where lights are set up to stop the upcoming ambush, I find myself in a graveyard. This graveyard has a boss, but this isn't important to any achievements. He's just fast as fuck. After the boss, I play the stupid moron in a horror movie and wander into an abandoned mining village. More collectibles galore occupy my time until I reach the end of this town where I'm ambushed by a possessed train. Destroying this coal train gives me the achievement Iron Horse. This is also one of the skippable achievements if you're trying to run away and not die due to a massive engine block being thrown at you by evil darkness. Thanks to my newfound reputation as a coal train killer, I'm sent into the mines to eradicate even more coal trains. Are there even trains in the mines? Unfortunately, I'm not very good at it. They all escape my detective skills. Either that or they never existed in the first place. After the mine is yours and a little platforming puzzle, I'm out of the damn mines. Then to follow up with that, I'm hit with another suspended trolley section and an Indiana Jones bridge back to back. Once that's done though, I can meet up with the kidnapper, netting me the achievement Wheels Within Wheels for completing episode 3. After a forced dip in the lake, we wake up to a shape-shifting shrink pretending to be my wife. Now I'm in bed and it's morning? What the hell is going on here? We're given a tour of the resort building with all the padded rooms included. I was crazy once. After the yapper stops yapping, I'm finally free to go with a cutscene. Exploring the rustic loony bin nets me another TV, as well as a few more collectibles. Heading back to my room afterwards, I try to sit down and type something out. Whatever that shrink drugged me with makes me a little shaky. With the yappers causing a scene, I can try and get into Hartman's office. It's odd that he left the door wide open though. On the desk, there's a tape player, which will be very, very important again later. This is a missable achievement that I'll have to get again in the next run. Turns out Barry snuck in while I was locked behind wooden walls. Hartman ambushes us in the closet after I pick up my revolver, and unfortunately the darkness is not very nice to him. Actually, Alan isn't very nice to him because he gets locked into the closet with the darkness. Without a flashlight, I have to use given pieces of light, as well as a flare or two to get through this place. Once I reach the near end, there's a TV in a little waiting room. Turning this on nets me the boob tube achievement. Why this specific TV? I don't know. After a ball-busting journey through the main lobby, I finally get the damn flashlight. Through a vibrating gate and an extremely bright light, I enter a hedge maze. What fucking weirdo has a hedge maze at a mental assistance facility? Next up is a boss fight. This fight is not between me and the Taken version of the psychotherapist, it's between me and the damn birds. The bullets can at least take down the human man guy thing. Hell yeah, a shotgun! I love shotguns, and I love canned pyramids, and supply chests. Okay, enough orgasming over collectible features already. While Barry tries to open the gate behind me, I have to hold out with naught but a shotgun, some flares, a flare gun, a pistol, and a flashbang. Okay, maybe that's not so bad after all. Tell me then why it took me 3 tries. Before I leave, I take the chance to bury a few more Taken with buckshot. Then it's on to Anderson Farm. Thankfully, while driving there, Barry decides to be a good best friend and believe us. I wouldn't believe us. Before we can truly make amends over whether I'm crazy or not, a rock slide causes the car to go off a cliff. We both miraculously survive. It's because we're white men. On another episode of Alan Wake Can't Hold On to a Damn Gun, I have to root around in the roots and bushes to find a 357 worth a dime in a dam. Anderson Farm, however, is right over the hill. All I have to do is get through a train yard or a coal mine or something. While attempting to get a manuscript page, I am attacked by more possessed objects. Damn, Pazuzu is really obsessed with me. Actually, I get blinded by actual flashbangs as multiple objects are destroyed one after another. Regardless, I can move on with a few slick dodges. A little farther forward, I get my flashbang back. Finally, this is what I was looking for. What I wasn't looking for is a few axes to the back while I was trying to turn on a generator. Getting closer to the farm, I get a better flashlight, a little thermos for some warm coffee, and a cutscene about a car driving along the road. The voice of George R.R. Martin interrupts my Elden Ring lore video to tell me how it really is. He even drops some manuscript pages for me to pick up. Oh, fuck yeah! A shotgun! I want to live in whatever version of Washington this is, where there are shotguns and pistols laying about everywhere. While searching for a coffee thermos, I get ambushed by a single Taken. Killing him nets me the "It's Not Just a Typewriter" brand achievement for killing 50 Taken with a shotgun. This entire game, I've never really needed to use batteries. However, there's an achievement tied to it, so whenever I got the chance, I would spam the Q button to use batteries as much as I could. Turns out it was a good idea because while fighting an ambush in the forest, I got the Energized achievement for using 100 batteries. I get to a farmhouse where the blue truck driver landed his battle bus. Turns out this truck driver was somebody I had met earlier but never mentioned. Hold on a moment while I loot your house for collectibles. Anyway, this man is dying. I'd rather watch TV in the nearby bedroom. One additional ambush later, I get a supply cache from the basement and then take the car to get the skibbity out of there. After raiding someone's house for the low price of absolutely free, I decide to take my teenage aggression out on the stupid idiots attacking me with a flashbang. Doing so nets me the right of way achievement for driving over 15 Taken. Reaching the narrow path of the farmland, I've got to extinguish the black fires of a backhoe gone haywire. I don't know if that's called a backhoe. I played with rescue heroes as a toddler, not construction equipment. Making my way up to the Anderson farm, turns out that those senile old brothers that murdered a nurse with a rubber hammer were really something else. They were rock stars. I can now understand why bardic inspiration is so sought after. While Barry fires up the sound and light systems, I have to shoot the hecklers throwing tomatoes at the stage. While being beaten to shit, my screen goes gray and I throw a flashbang. It takes down 2 Taken, netting me the Thunder and Lightning achievement for defeating 50 Taken with flashbangs. A fitting achievement for being on the farm belonging to a man named after the Norse god of lightning. After Barry vaporizes enough Taken, I get the achievement Collateral Carnage for defeating 20 Taken with indirect means. Kind of defeats the point of me defeating them though. After restarting to get another achievement, I finished the concert to grab the final and third achievement of this rock show, Child of the Elder Gods. This achievement is given as a result of completing the rock show without falling to critical health, meaning I never turned my screen into a gray pool of vomit. Can't forget to grab this hidden manuscript behind the stage, that'd be a doozy for later. Getting into the barn, I cut off Barry by turning on a TV. Then he starts talking over the damn narration. This pisses me off enough to leave the barn in search of another collectible I missed. You know, they shouldn't have called this Alan Wake. They should have called it Ambush Wake with how often I'm surprised by the existence of bad guys in the bad realm. Once Barry and I are free from the barn, we get to a little silo section of the farm. Inside the granary, I collect another thermos. Most importantly, I get the final radio for the KBF FM achievement. While being ambushed by a killer combine, I kill enough Taken to get the Taken Season achievement for killing 50 Taken with the hunting rifle. This leaves the flare gun as my final achievement for weapon kills. Thankfully, there's not much fighting left as Barry and I make our way into the farmhouse. Here we discover the secret to beating the darkness and saving, Anna? Alice? Alyssa? I forget the name of our wife, but it has something with an A. It turns out there's a bunch of light that can be used to beat the darkness. Who would have thought that? Anyway, I fall asleep to dream of the night everything fell apart. Believe it or not, we couldn't figure out where Alice had gone. An old funeral goer convinces us to sit down at the typewriter and write up a good fan fiction for her. You know she's the bad guy because I'd never be caught writing fan fiction. Once we write about 80% of the fan fiction, we're saved by a man named Thomas Zane. He's the astronaut man, the man in the light, and he tells us to run before the clutches of Tumblr take us over. He fights the evil forces of the liberal social media personality pipeline for us, and we awaken. Thus ends episode 4 and thus grants me the Perchance to Dream achievement. Waking up alongside Barry in the Bright Falls Police Department, Agent Nightingale comes stomping in with the sheriff to yell about reading something. A cutscene occurs where Agent Nightingale is dragged out of a nearby doorway and the only sane cop in the building believes our story that we're not the bad guys. Leaving Barry and the old PD, Sheriff Female and I leave to find the rescue chopper. Opening the gate for the sheriff begins a sort of hold-off section with her against many taken and possessed objects. She's actually not all that bad in a fight considering how bad AI in this era of games typically was. Eventually, as we continue to fight taken and collect supply caches and thermoses, I reach the Bright Falls Diner once again. In the beginning of the game, I turned on the jukebox for Thor Odin's son so we could jam out. Here I have to hit it again to get the achievement, drink them both up. After a holdout with Sheriff Shotgun Queen, we make it to a place with some nice television as well as a cute little cache of deadly weapons. When I approach the helicopter key, I'm mercilessly attacked by a big dude in a cop uniform. Killing him with a flare gun gives me the What Light Through Yonder Window achievement for blowing 50 taken up with a flare gun until they're sizzling. After grabbing the key, we see a cutscene where Barry is chased from the police department and into another section of the town. We have to save him while we head to the helicopter. Arriving at the church causes the shadowy darkness to go haywire and send the Christmas hitmen to our doorstep. You heathens, God made one thing in his image and it was the flashlight. Once we're through the basement of the church, we meet back up with Barry. Turns out he kitted himself out in Christmas lights, thus making him immune to the effects of the evil darkness. What a jolly fellow. Not much else but collecting happens from here to the helicopter. Once we get there, Barry and Sheriff Helicopter Pilot start up the helicopter. I have to defend them while I do it, with waves of enemies rushing at me. There's even a strangely sentient tornado staring at me from the other side of the road. However, this is a pretty easy section since the game hands you supplies like it's Christmas and you're a 4th grader with all A's on his report card. Beating this holdout section gives me the An Idyllic Small Town achievement for surviving the entire town traversing portion of the game without dying or restarting once. Unfortunately, for how much work it was to get to the helicopter, we lost a helicopter way too easily. A bunch of birds take it down, the stupid feathered government bastards. I'm dropped into a strange packaging yard where I experienced not just one ambush, but another ambush inside of the building. Thankfully, the game just hands me a shotgun to use. From here to that power facility over there's going to be a lot of fighting, looting, and dying. So bear with me as I describe things as fast as I can. Entering a generator area, I'm attacked by the Taken Hulk army. Just about every bad guy here is wielding an axe or a sledgehammer or something. The entire time I'm running through this part, my girlfriend is pushing on my elbow to dramatically move the camera thanks to how sensitive the turn speed is. It was funny, so sometimes I dramatized it to make her laugh. More birds attack me, but this time I'm on a spinning bridge. That makes it cooler or something. I also get a pump-action shotgun and another TV after the bridge to aid in my survival. The TV doesn't help, but it's nice entertainment. The Dork Brigade temporarily halted the birds, so they lead me through a valley of death. The spotlight on the helicopter helps me cleanse these evildoers of their dark power. Too bad the birds return to haze the helicopter into submission. I'm finally at the power facility. Walking into the building, I'm met by a crazy old lady with a lantern addiction. She's the Lady of the Light, and she's going to be the reason we save Alice. Somehow. In order to reach this super bright light that's supposed to help me, I have to cut power to someplace first. That means more fighting the local homeless with 10,000-degree honey buns. Thankfully, all it takes is a literal flip of a switch and some accidental wicked parkour skills. Flicking the switch gives me the Gatekeeper achievement for turning off the power to the transformer yard. The elderly woman thanks me for my services by giving me some exposition about Thomas Zane, aka the astronaut diver who saved me from my fanfiction disease. We're traveling to a place called the Well-Lit Room, which is a room so full of light that even the deepest of sleepers could not catch any Z's. However, Barry and Sheriff Nerdoharm are in trouble, so I abandoned my destiny to save my bestest friend ever. After a few collectibles and bird swarms, I managed to find them a little ways away from their broken and crashed helicopter. This is only thanks to Barry's flare gun, of course, not the linear style map progression. More fights in an elevator holdout leads Alan and the gang to a pair of doors. Holding one open via a switch lets Barry and Sheriff, I've run out of names, escape. There's also a sign near the switch, which I haven't been keeping track of signs much, but I've been looking for them anyway. I'm sorry, but after this game, if I ever see a bird again, I'm not shining lights on that shit. I'm fucking shooting it. Government drones be gone is what I'll call my next purchase, you stupid feathery bitches. Up over yonder, I play a little game of Spot the Broken AI. Shining this massive spotlight on each taken destroys their AI, freezing them in place like I never existed. Anyway, evil tornado, I've got to run away across the bridge. Everything seems to want to kill me though. I'm also cursed by the inefficacy of platforming in a game where platforming was a second thought. Unfortunate, but at least I reach a nice little elevator filled with light as a reward. I am also led towards the well-lit room, which houses the ultimate weapon against the darkness. That's right, the clicker. Didn't think you'd see that again, did you? Picking up the clicker ends episode 5, which gives me the Lady of the Light achievement. Waking up in a flashback to when being mean to women was cool, 2008, the power of the sun is multiplied in my vision as I realize I have a hangover. An aspirin and a pair of sunglasses does wonders for it, but unfortunately, I'm still fucked. Turning on the TV in the living room grants me the couch potato achievement for watching every TV in the game. Awesome, I'm a couch potato while being a couch potato for this video. Alice comes home from somewhere and dares to be a decent person. How could she want to cook something for me? I'd rather berate her. She deserved it for getting paper bags, not plastic bags. After flicking the switch on the clicker, it turns out it's daytime now. Whimsically running towards a nearby truck, I whimsically drive to a whimsical roadside view. Here, I continue to collect things until I can collect no longer, driving as I go. Running off the beaten path, I nab myself a hunting rifle as well as a supply cache, then I go back to business on the road. The further down the road I travel, the darker the world gets. After another psychic vision of the past, something called a memory, night strikes and I'm ambushed again. Unfortunately for them, I'm going to ignore their bullying like my mommy taught me to do in real life. I stop by a nearby hotel, likely where Agent Nightingale stayed, to loot it all of its collectible contents. There are 2 can pyramids here, but I don't need them for any other achievements, so I'll nab them in a later run for a specific reason that will be apparent soon. After another bridge, I get into a cool looking car, ready to fight the evil dead when I'm suddenly ambushed by a damn monster truck. I'd ask what farm boy in Washington has a monster truck, but there's nothing to do in Washington except drive in the mud because of how often it rains. Further and further down the road I go until I'm satisfied with the darkness. Spoiler, I'm never satisfied, so it's a long journey. Through a tunnel and next to some shitty barricades, I find myself at a junkyard. I didn't know I was searching for myself, but hey, them's the ropes in these sorts of games. Running up to the main building of the junkyard, there's a sign on the outside door. Reading it proves I'm literate because I unlocked the Bright Falls Aficionado achievement for reading every sign in the game. Fuck you, unnamed English teacher that didn't believe in me. I didn't actually have one. I just wanted to feel like an outcast for a second. Opening up the gate to the next part of the junkyard begins a boss fight. You don't have to do this fight as it doesn't give you an achievement, but throwing flashbangs at metal objects is funny. Mere minutes after beating the junkyard level, I drive over to an abandoned mining town area. I get another supply cache and then do some pushing minigames. This is the first time I ever do these in this game, so it's a bit funny how late into the game they're introduced. Another holdout section where evil bad guys try to kill me but die because I shine some powerful light on them. Another day, another manuscript. After the holdout, I keep getting closer and closer to Cauldron Lake. However, it appears there's an issue. There's a bazillion birds over there waiting for me. This is not what I had planned for my wife-saving adventures. As I enter the Lost Woods, I'm not only ambushed by Taken, but also giant machines falling out of the sky. Trucks, boats, who knows what else would fall. Whoever prayed for my downfall lost, because I made it out of those foggy woods alive. I do come right back into another mining town, so that's not that great, but hey, at least I'm alive. In the first building I can enter, I turn right to find my final supply cache, which gives me the Every Nook and Cranny achievement. Oh look, this place wants me to do more holding out. Well, too bad, I'd rather immediately start the generator and run to the elevator to skip the fighting. Stepping off the elevator and picking up the manuscript nearby unlocks the Picking Up After Yourself achievement for collecting every normal mode manuscript. One final section remains, which just forces me to fight a bunch of possessed objects before I can get into the final boss arena. Heading through the canyon, I initiate the final fight. I have to dodge objects being thrown at me while getting closer and closer to the giant tornado. As I run up towards the tornado, I unlock the Gunless Wonder for completing the entirety of episode 6 without firing a single bullet from my guns. That means everything I've done over the past hour and a half has been gunless. I could only use flashbangs and flares to defend myself. All I have to do is fire a bunch of flares at the tornado in the center of Cauldron Lake to burn it to death. Thankfully, there's a limitless supply of flare gun ammunition nearby, making this easy. Destroying the tornado gives me the Tornado Wrangler achievement. Then Alan Wake plunges into the darkness of Cauldron Lake with nothing but the clicker in his hand, and he awakens in a nightmare. Alice is alive and sounds like the old woman. That's weird, bro. I think I'll just activate the clicker to get out of here. Thomas Zane whispers to us the dangers of fanfiction, and I realize it's just not worth it. Before I can beat this game, I have to tear apart the darkness from the inside and finish the manuscript. Before going anywhere, I burn the word thermos to get the final thermos, and damn, I really did miss a thermos. Good thing I'll have to do another playthrough. I enter the cabin and am met with an old woman. I reach into her chest with the clicker in hand and flick it, calling forth God's holy light to force her soul into submission. Then Alan sits down at the table and begins typing up the rest of his manuscript. Finishing the story, manages to save his wife as she awakens in the lake and swims to safety. Yet Alan is still stuck in the lake, drowning in the darkness of creativity to save himself. Once the credits roll, I get the Departure and Hard-Boiled Writer achievement for beating the game on hard. The first achievement is actually for beating it on normal, so I guess that's a free 2-for-1 without me having to do a third playthrough. However, that's not the end of it. I still have another playthrough or 2 or 3.
It's not a lake. It's an ocean.
Okay, this one is going to be very difficult since the story is the same, but the collectibles are kinda different. So let's begin. Skip cutscene, get out of the broken down car, start running towards safety. The dark is scary and looks like a hobo wielding an axe. I think I'll run now. After obtaining the first flare gun from his dreamlike state, I line up a group of Taken that ambush me and fire away. Killing 4 of them at once gives me the Come One Come All achievement, which is one of the earliest available achievements in the game. After entering the lighthouse, Alan orgasms on his way to Washington, and we're back in reality. Once again, I go through the strokes of normality, then I wake up in a car crash and head to the lumberyard. This is where I find the first nightmare manuscript, manuscript just outside the lumberyard entrance. The story continues on for a while up until I reach the gas station where I call the cops to begin episode 2. Instead of heading inside, I run all the way down the street beyond the gas station to a roadblock. At the end of this road is a thermos I missed, giving me the hyper-caffeinated achievement for collecting all of them in the game. After memories, talking to Rusty about cabin keys, and telling Barry we are not crazy, we get back into more relevant gameplay, killing birds. This is relevant because my next achievement involves doing such a thing. It isn't for a little while later, about an hour and a half after I yoinked the final thermos, but it will come. Along the way, I continue to unlock more nightmare manuscripts. Thankfully, these are far less numerous, so it's easier to finish off the count by the end of the game. More kidnapper dealings, more holding out to survive, more flashlighting and flaring evil spirits. It's all been covered before. Fast forwarding a ways, eventually I find myself combating enough birds to get the "if it flies, it burns" achievement. This is the real revenge I've been looking for. Barry should thank me for saving his ass from these government drones. Is this an allegory for the shadow government? Continuing through the story, I eventually make my way back to the coal mine museum. There's actually an achievement to go from the museum to Cauldron Lake in 30 minutes. Starting from when I get the phone call from the kidnapper in the museum, I have to start running immediately to where I gotta go. With enough of a disconnected attitude towards fighting certain enemy ambushes, you can make it in about 21 minutes. That's how long it took me. So once I can see Cauldron Lake, I am given the Meet the Deadline achievement. While in Hartman's office in episode 4, if I listen to the tape recorder of my wife's deepest, darkest secrets, or what Hartman thinks of them, enough times, I can get the Medical Opinions achievement. I missed this one earlier by listening to the tape once, so I'm rectifying my medical malpractice. Now the final 2 achievements are in episode 6. While collecting a bunch of nightmare manuscripts as I traverse the game, I finally reach the final holdout section where I grab the nightmare manuscript behind the generator to power the elevator. This nets me the Collector's Edition achievement. Then I can carry on to fight the tornado again, then plunge myself into the lake to finish the manuscript all over again. This is where I get the Alan Wake Up achievement, thus 100%ing the base game. However, there are 2 DLCs to get achievements in yet. Remember, it's not a lake, it's an ocean. The first DLC begins with Alan reliving the events of the beginning of the game. We, Alan, wake up in the Bright Falls Diner. Walking into the restaurant, we've seen to have entered a more sepia-toned version of the Old World Blues DLC for Fallout New Vegas. An eye on the TV tells me the rules of the flashlight and the gun. Clearly, he hasn't seen the rest of the video. I know how to do this, you dumbass. After an ambush, I continue through Bright Falls in the same manner that I did in episode 5. Well, more or less the same. I make sure to grab the first alarm clock collectible before leaving the diner, however. Once I enter a house behind the diner, I am met with a manuscript and floating words. I can shine my light on the floating words to make things appear. Ah, great, this is going to be fun. Leaving the house, I return to Bright Falls, ready to take on a new day, or night. After heading to a tool shop, I get a phone call. The call doesn't matter so much as the cardboard cutout nearby. This is the first one on my journey. A few bits of parkour later, and I'm back in the park. I carry on until I reach the church, where I must fight the haunted reindeer mobile. Something tells me Christmas is going to be late this year. Where the church basement was once a minor spelling error in the vocabulary of Bright Falls, this one turns into a major spelling error. There are furnaces in every corner, and I go ahead and experiment by breaking all of them open. This nets me the Words Will Never Harm You achievement. After I exit the basement, I pick up a manuscript and shine a light on the word friend. This summons Barry and the A Friend in Need achievement for me to steal away. Unfortunately, despite Barry's existence, he is merely in Alan's head. Therefore, he is irrelevant to actually helping. Just another schizo delusion of creativity. Through the next forested area, there are even more of those floating words to choose from. Not all of them are good, mind you, but most of them are. A couple of alarm clocks later, and I'm vominosing myself to the end of the forest. There are more fucking birds here too. Good thing I can still cook them with photons. The next part of my journey is wandering through a creepy light pole graveyard or something. I'm still collecting those cardboard cutouts, by the way. I've got to make sure my waifu collection is complete. The next stage of this fight is a lumberyard. I have the option to use a vehicle in this place, but I'm built different, so I choose not to. 2 monster trucks threaten my life, and I barely manage to avoid them sometimes. Bombarding the local civilization populace with a few red barrels gives me a 1-track path to freedom. Can't forget to pick up the alarm clock here though. That'd be a nightmare. Once I drop off at the back of the warehouse platform, I get the License Revoke achievement for not using a vehicle during this DLC. One would think this DLC's collectible would last the entire run, but after an ambush by a chainsaw guy in a sea of boxes, I meet the final cardboard cutout. This cardboard cutouts me the Cardboard Companions achievement. It's also of my wife, so I'm depressed now. Shortly thereafter, I find myself plummeting to the ground, smashing my knees into the next millennium. Unfortunate, as they say, but those really are the ropes. I walk from memory to memory as I reappear in the old apartment condo house. I walk into my office to grab the final alarm clock, clocking out with the TikTok achievement. Alan Wake predicted TikTok cringe compilations. Thomas Zane greets me to inform me of how I'm going to finish this boss fight. It's me against me, quite literally. It's the millennial in-person Alan Wake versus the zoomer brain-rot Alan Wake stuck in the TV. This boss fight is very easy. All it takes is some flare gun shots, maybe a couple of flares, and a lot of diligence when it comes to time. If you beat this boss in less than 90 seconds, like I did, you'll get the Fast and Furious achievement, just like I did. After the fight, the Alan Wake passes out and is greeted by a transparent boomer. Beating this DLC also gives me the A Friend Indeed achievement. If you beat this DLC without dying or restarting, you also get the Run-On Sentence achievement, which I had to get in a second playthrough because I died horrifically in the last one. The second DLC is actually shorter than the first. That's great for my personal time, but not great for your personal time. That means this video is almost over. Starting from where the last DLC left off, I awaken to the odd chimera, that zany doctor mixed with Barry. They're also a ghost or something? Then we transition into the backyard of the lodge loony cabin, where I have nothing to defend myself with. Using physics, I have to swing a lamp over to break free from the stone constraints known as walls. On the other side of freedom, I get my flashlight of choice. In this DLC, the collectible items are video games with Xbox 360 covers. Fuck you, Epic Games, for making Alan Wake 2 exclusive to your store. I just wanted to get that out. After traversing the maze and grabbing the first video game collectible, I come to a little fight sequence. This place is nice and all, but the smell of potential lead energy is killing me. Thankfully, there are taken to turn that into kinetic lead energy. There are also fireworks, so Alan is definitely imagining America in his mind's eye. With the fighting over, I can enter Pinterest's favorite loony bin, where Thomas Zane gives me a manuscript. Using this manuscript, I summon the word of Alan Wake to begin the next platforming section. Good God, there's too much platforming in this DLC. Being afraid of the spinning house nets me another video game collectible on the roof. That's awesome. What's not awesome is Gmod ragdolling to death when I land on the other side. I'm doing it again. More schizo voice anger echoes in my head, then a tornado appears. I kinda just speedrun this tornado. I don't like spinning platforms in a game not built for platforming. Speedrunning it does get me the whirlwind achievement for getting past the tornado in 60 seconds, so it was totally worth the momentary annoyance. While watching YouTube on my other monitor to overcome the sudden onset of boredom from this DLC, I come to a really cool section. A spinning room where I'm thankful they don't force me to fight anything while waiting for the scenery to change at a turtle's pace. Tiptoeing through the well-lit room again, I meander my way into an elevator. Damn, that elevator indicator is spinning real slow. Once the ride is over, I get the ding achievement. Once I leave the elevator, I'm back at the gas station that I missed a thermostat. I pick up a single video game collectible and move on. After more platforming and more running through rocky terrain filled with birds, I reach a dark room. This dark room is scary because it has a judgmental bastard in it. I hate when that shit happens, man. My wife is also here complaining about my impotence in bed and how eating grilled cheese with ketchup is weird. After listening to everything my wife has to say about my wrongdoings on our window TV, I get the Heartbreaker achievement. Alan mentions that this isn't true and Alice thinks differently. Okay, dude, you may as well start listening to Radiohead already. In the next area, I come to a plane. Usually I'm supposed to run away from the plane, but instead running towards the plane nets me a secret, a giant typewriter and the creative space achievement. I'm once again asking you not to flashbang me, Thomas Zane. Is it really that fucking hard? Jeez. Well, as an apology, the Zanester summons a lighthouse in the distance to destroy foes in my path. I decided not to shoot anyone and let the light of the lighthouse guide my path. Sometimes it's good to not do anything and just sit back and enjoy the ride. For not shooting a single bullet while running to the lighthouse, I get the Go Gentle into That Good Light achievement. It's just that easy. Skill solution, one might say. I also make sure to grab the video game behind the lighthouse, since that's important. A few minutes later, I pick up the final video game with a licensed properties achievement for collecting 10 video game covers. Then as I'm running up to the cabin on Cauldron Lake, I have to maneuver around a weird-ass set of twisting bridges. The final boss takes place and it involves destroying a few waves of Taken. The first is a psychiatrist guy with a bunch of birds, Hartman. The second is Thor and Odin Anderson, and the third and final is Barry Wheeler, my best friend. However, Barry has multiple phases, so it's more like 3 different Barrys. Once I beat the 3 Barrys, I get 2 achievements. The first is the Kill Your Darlings achievement for beating the final boss and cleansing the cabin of my dark side, and the second is Iron Will for beating the final boss without going into critical health and having my screen turn gray. I do end up doing another playthrough to get the No Punctuation achievement where I beat the DLC without dying or restarting. And with that, I've successfully gotten all of Alan Wake's achievements. I hope you enjoyed it, because I sure did. Replaying this game has unlocked a newfound love for Remedy's games. I still won't buy Alan Wake 2 on PC though. I'm not giving Epic Games my money. If you like this video, leave a like, a comment, a subscription, any of it. Also consider joining my members to get exclusive perks depending on what tier you choose. Join my Discord for easier updates on when my videos release, since YouTube didn't push out one of my videos for some reason and it flopped horrifically. My name was Jack, and it always has been. Remember, it's not a lake. It's a body of fresh water that makes up only 2% of all water on the planet, and you're drowning your wife in it? No wonder you're such a shitty writer. Stay lucky.